What I'm sharing with you today isn't so much a money saving tip as a time saving tip. But as we know, time is money, and time is a very precious commodity that we can't get back. Just going to briefly take you through how I do my laundry, which is I do it once a week. This is for a family of 6 people. What most people do is they wash every day, maybe every second day, probably on average, like for a family of our size, you'd be washing 5 or 6 times a week. And I have found that if you add up all the time that takes you, like putting it in the machine, getting it sorted, organized, hanging it on the line, bringing it in, folding it, probably each time you do that would take you at least half an hour. So when you add that up, say you do that 6 times during the week, that's 3 hours. I have found that if I just do it all in one bulk lot, it takes me less than 2 hours, and that's for everything. I could get it done in an hour and a half. That's including the folding and putting away. So if I manage to get it done in an hour and a half, that means that I am saving myself at least an hour and a half a week, which I can use doing other housework or spending time with my kids or whatever. When I actually hang out the washing, I take that as, because that does take a long time when you've got like 5 basket loads of washing, I take that as a bit of rest time for me. I'll put headphones on, I'll put on a podcast or an audiobook, and if the children are being well behaved, I get to just listen to that for 30 to 40 minutes while I'm hanging out my washing, and it's actually a little bit of a break for me. So washing starts the night before. I put on 2 loads at night and then just take them out of the machine, and they sit in the baskets in the laundry. I do another 2 to 3 loads in the morning. I get up really early, so I put the other loads on. We have a front loader washing machine, so it's cheaper on electricity and water, but it does take a little while. So each load takes like an hour and a half. So my first step is just collecting all the laundry and sorting it into its various things. So one load will be towels, then I'll have colours, darks, lights, and then possibly just another few bits and pieces. Now imagine the freedom of only having to wash once a week, not having to do it every single day. That is the freedom with which I live my life, and it is wonderful. Also, I get my children to fold their own washing. Not my 18-month-old, she's obviously too young. Well, though she would really give it a good go. But the rest do their own folding, and that saves me a lot of time. And I couldn't imagine trying to get the kids to do their little bit of folding every single day, because sometimes it's a little bit of a battle and you've got to get them excited about it, like, come on, we're going to all do the folding. So when you're only doing that once a week, it's really not a big deal, and you know, it takes them, if they're enthusiastic and get in and do it, it takes them like 10 minutes to do all their clothes. My son is not enthusiastic and gets very distracted. It can take him about an hour to do the same amount of clothes, but that's okay. We're teaching him to do housework, and that's important. Okay, here's a week's worth of washing. This is usually what I'm doing at about 8 o'clock Saturday morning. It's a beautiful, like, I don't know, 2 degrees. Where we live is pretty cold. Now you might wonder how I'm going to fit all of that on that one clothesline. I was shown an amazing trick which I will show you. So the way to get a ridiculous amount of stuff on your clothesline is to hang up between the 2 lines like this, as opposed to the standard way of just sort of hanging it like that. You fit a lot more, and I wouldn't be able to do my washing once a week if it weren't for this little trick that a friend showed me. So thank you for that, friend. Yeah, we just hang them up like that and we go around. If I need to during the week, I might do like an emergency load. Socks get hung up on this nifty little thing, and as I find their little matching friend, I just pair them together, and that makes it really easy. When I'm putting them away, I just pair the socks all together. I'm not getting my little break at the moment because I've got two of the kids out here with me, but that's okay. You can't have everything, and they're adorable. Also, with the way I hang things, sometimes it will stretch because I hang them by the bottoms here. And so anything that I'm not wanting to stretch in that way, I hang up on coat hangers like this, which isn't really that much stuff. Things like my husband's t-shirts and stuff that you would think could potentially stretch don't actually tend to. So you just have to figure out what can get hung in which way. So that's all the washing hung up. That took me about 40 minutes. I wasn't particularly rushing. So that's all the clothes. And we've got the smaller stuff that doesn't hang up quite as well between the lines, or just the, you know, other small things like face washers on there. Now, as I said in my dodgiest tips video, the reason we can do this is because we wear clothes more than once if they're clean and not smelly. But keep in mind, this is for a family of 6. 2 of them being toddlers, and toddlers are pretty messy. When I bring in the washing, I separate...
Zoe, don't touch my folding!
I separate my stuff and the kids' stuff, and the kids' stuff just gets all thrown on the bed, and they separate it themselves, and they fold it themselves and put it all away. So that's our stuff that needs to be folded. So that's mine, my husband's, and the baby's stuff.
I still have one myself. Here's the one of the baby's.
And then we all do it together like a family activity. Sometimes these guys fight and it drives me insane. So when that happens, I just walk away and let them finish. And then I come back and do mine later.
Hello, camera. I love you.